federal law does. So if the federal law brings no charges, then the case falls apart as well. So what they did was they found a law from 1954 where Bobby from Georgia was killed by a police officer just like George Floyd. He knew the police officer that killed him, but he didn't get any justice because they couldn't prove a reasonable doubt. And that's what they told me, that they couldn't prove within a reasonable doubt that they tried to kill my brother because of a civil rights issue, not because of a criminal issue. That's why the criminal charges were not brought the whole 2 years. It took us 2 years to get the video. I had to obtain attorneys who actually got us on CNN, MSNBC, Associated Press. His name is Patrick J. Murphy, and he's friends with President Obama. And he was the one that got us our attorney. So we couldn't get the video for almost 2 years. So finally, when we got the video, he had the video in his office, and he said he had it in his office for about a week. When he called me, he was shocked. He was like, "Gwen, you got to see this video." I was like, "So how is it?" I thought my brother only got tased one time. I didn't know he got tased 20 times. He said, "It is horrific. It's something that you should see on TV." So then he called Patrick Murphy and told Patrick Murphy about it. And then Patrick Murphy called me and told me about it. And then he called me back and told me that he had called someone on CNN and did his elevator speech, and we're going to be on CNN tonight. And so from CNN, we went from MSNBC to CNN to having Ari Marbury come to our house, who is the number one person at MSNBC when it comes down to an attorney and interviewing people. So no, there was no legal justice for my brother in regards to that. There was no charges brought, from what I understand, and I wrote in my book, which is about Gray,
Cornell,
is that they are still working.
Cornell wanted to know, were they insinuating that your brother caused his own death?
Okay, can you repeat that again?
Cornell wanted the question that Cornell
I can't.
wanted you to know, what did they insinuate that your brother caused his own death?
Well, the cocaine was the issue with the insinuation. They didn't insinuate anything else because they can clearly see that it was a federal matter, and the federal matters trumps criminal all day because they could have federal charges as well as criminal charges. So with his case, they didn't insinuate anything other than he had cocaine in his system, and the newspaper tried to run with that in the very beginning before we even got the video. Months and months before we got the video, they were trying to insinuate that it was the cocaine. But from the autopsy report, he had 0.001 ounce, which is like a 4 ounce glass of wine, in his system. It was actually leaving his system. So he must have did it some part of the day where it was wearing off. But they didn't insinuate anything about him causing his own problem. They just said that it was the cocaine as well as the excited delirium is what they call it. And I guess that comes from the tasing.
And